Have you ever thought about the families that operate in the shadows, quietly making big moves and shaping our world behind the scenes? We are talking about the Rothschilds, one of the wealthiest families in the world. But are those conspiracy theories claiming they run the world just made-up stories, or is there some real mystery behind it? Stick around until the end, because today we will uncover how the Rothschilds brutally control the world. How the Rothschilds control the world. It's a well-known fact that a significant portion of the world's wealth is concentrated in the hands of a select few influential families. This minority, often referred to as the 1%, is believed to exert substantial control over global events. Among these influential families, the Rothschild family is frequently regarded as one of the most powerful and wealthiest. They own castles, banks, hospitals, wineries and more. Some estimate their wealth at around trillions of dollars in assets spread across the globe. The Rothschild dynasty was started by an ordinary man named Meyer Amschel Rothschild. With the help of his 5 sons, he laid the foundation for what would eventually become the world's mightiest dynasty. These Rothschilds, hailing from the Jewish quarter in Frankfurt during the 18th century, went on to establish banks throughout Europe, accumulating immense wealth and ranking among the wealthiest families of their time. When writing about the Rockefeller and Rothschild families, Harry Mount writes, "That is what makes these two dynasties so exceptional. Not just their dizzying wealth, but the fact that they have held on to it for so long. And not just the loot, but also their family companies." However, their wealth and influence have not been without controversy. Accusations of shaping global politics, fomenting conflicts, and playing significant roles in various financial crises have surrounded them. But are these allegations rooted in reality? Our story begins in 1744, when Meyer Amschel Bauer took his first breath in the free city of Frankfurt, Germany. He was born to an Ashkenazi Jew who ran a counting house and dabbled in money exchange. Now what's strange is that on the entrance door of that counting house there was a peculiar red hexagram sign. Little did anyone know this symbol held a numerical and geometric secret amounting to the number 666. Interestingly, that very sign ended up on the Israeli flag about 2 centuries later, a testament to the vast influence the Rothschilds held over the state of Israel. But do you know what other secrets are hidden behind this mysterious symbol and the number 666? According to the book of Revelation in the Bible, 666 is indeed often associated with the number of the beast. Yes, you heard it right. A symbol of evil and opposition to God. Furthermore, the hexagram is said to represent the union of opposites, embodying concepts like male and female, light and dark, and good and evil. These signs are also linked to the infamous secret society Illuminati, as the number 6 in the Illuminati is a symbol of imperfection and human sinfulness. Coincidence? Well, if you believe it is, your perspective might change when you hear what actually happened later. Back in 1770, Meyer Rothschild had a vision that would significantly influence the Illuminati. This society was led by another figure named Adam Weishaupt. Interestingly, despite Weishaupt's Jewish heritage, he openly practiced Roman Catholicism. In 1776, Weishaupt officially founded the Illuminati. Their main goal was to create conflict among non-Jewish people, known as the Goyim, using strategies related to economics, society, politics and religion. They stirred up conflicts among the Goyim, providing them with arms and watching them turn against each other. This internal strife led to the downfall of governments and religious institutions, and in the end it undermined their own power. During that year, Weishaupt infiltrated the Continental Order of Freemasons with Illuminati ideas and set up their secret base within the Grand Orient's lodges. All these devious plans were cleverly orchestrated and financed by Meyer Amschel Rothschild. The Rothschilds were often associated with larger anti-Semitic conspiracy theories that alleged the existence of a hidden and influential Jewish group responsible for significant global events. Later, they were also linked to the Zionist movement, a political and cultural movement aimed at establishing and supporting a Jewish homeland in the historical land of Israel. It's important to note that while some of the Rothschilds had little to do with Zionism and Israel, others played a significant role by supporting early pioneering settlements. Take, for example, Edmund James de Rothschild, the grandson of James Mayer de Rothschild. He was a prominent philanthropist and a leading proponent of Zionism, funding and establishing many Jewish settlements in Palestine. Some Rothschild family charities even continue to aid Israel to this day. However, it's essential to clarify that Israel was not solely the project of the Rothschilds, but a collective endeavor of the entire Jewish community. The rise of the Rothschild family to prominence was closely tied to the opportunities and challenges brought by the French Revolutionary and Napoleonic Wars from 1792 to 1815. In fact, some even believe they had a hand in various wars, revolutions, crises and controversies, including the War of 1812. In 1811, a significant moment in history arrived when the charter for Rothschild's Bank in the United States reached its expiration date. The U.S. Congress had a pivotal decision to make, whether to renew the charter or not. Nathan Meyer Rothschild, the third son of Meyer Rothschild, voiced his thoughts and warned, "Grant the renewal renewal of the Charter or the United States will find itself entangled in a most disastrous war. But the United States chose to turn a deaf ear to this warning. This decision didn't sit well with Nathan, and he made another stern declaration: teach those audacious Americans a lesson, bring them back under colonial rule. And so in 1812, with Nathan Mayer's directive and backed by the immense wealth of the Rothschilds, the British declared war on the United States, marking a pivotal moment in history. The plan was to pile up a ton of debt on the United States during the war. The aim was to make the US more likely to give in to the wishes of the Rothschild family. They thought they could use this advantage to get the first bank of the United States Charter renewed, but they didn't succeed in their plan. However, the Rothschild family stood as the dominant force in European investment, banking and brokerage. Their influence extended far and wide, with family members holding seats in Parliament and the House of Lords and earning titles as barons in London. One of their most remarkable feats was Nathan Mayer Rothschild's control of the Bank of England by 1815. He boldly declared, "I care not what puppet is placed upon the throne of England to rule the empire on which the sun never sets. The man who controls Britain's money supply controls the British Empire, and I control the British money supply." Their motto was simple: control the world by controlling its money. Once, Deshaun Jackson, a former NBA player, also tweeted, "You know who the Rothschilds are? They control all the banks. They own all the banks." It wouldn't be wrong to estimate that they own the central bank in almost every country, especially the major ones like the United States, Canada, China, England, France, Mexico and Spain. But the Rothschilds didn't stop at merely influencing global finances. They've been accused of manipulating the gold market for centuries. Up until 2004, they ran N.M. Rothschild, a powerhouse established in 1810. They held meetings twice a week, effectively determining the world's gold price alongside giants like HSBC and Deutsche Bank. Curiously, on the day N.M. Rothschild announced its closure, the price of gold plunged by $7 an ounce. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Some even believe that they are also responsible for every US recession and depression. Whether this is a conspiracy theory or not, it's easy to see why the Rothschilds might be connected to every economic fluctuation in the US and European economies. If they can influence gold prices, determine the outcome of wars and control the Federal Reserve Bank, it's not a stretch to think they might have a hand in deciding when we experience a recession. The early rise of the Rothschilds. You see, from their very beginnings to the modern era, the Rothschild family has always claimed a Jewish heritage. This claim has been a key factor in their journey to becoming one of the most influential families in the world. However, sometimes appearances can be misleading. Long before they proudly embraced their Jewish roots, the ancestors of the Rothschilds weren't Jewish at all. They were Khazars, hailing from the mighty kingdom of Khazaria during the 7th century. In those times, religious affiliations held tremendous importance in the realm of politics and international relations. The Khazars, who practiced a form of Turkic religion called Tengrism, decided to convert to Judaism, leading to a mass religious transformation among the Khazarian elite and nobility. Fast forward to the 10th century, and their powerful alliances began to crumble. Without support and plagued by ongoing conflicts, the once mighty Khazar kingdom saw its power gradually wane. Sensing the impending downfall, the ruling elite craftily migrated to Europe, using Judaism as a clever disguise. As a result, many of the people who identify as Jewish today actually have their roots in Khazaria or are Ashkenazi Jews. Despite having Asiatic Mongolian genes, they managed to stake their claim to the land of Israel, even though their original homeland was what we now know as Georgia. This clever transformation allowed them to integrate into the Jewish community and enjoy the advantages associated with being part of this unique ethnic, religious and cultural group. With their newfound influence, they began their ascent on the social ladder in monarchical Europe. Some even achieved nobility and founded their own dynasties, ultimately gaining political power in more than one kingdom. So they took on new names and acted like they were part of the majority to rise in the ranks. The idea was to get into powerful positions in their adopted homelands and work on their secret plans without anyone catching on. The Rothschild family, well, they're a prime example of this strategy taken to the extreme. It all started when Meyer returned to Frankfurt to take the reins of his family's business. It was at this moment that he made a significant change. He transformed his last name from Bauer to Rothschild when he grasped the significance of that red hexagram. In the German language, red is rot, and Schild means sign. Meyer soon learned that his friend General von Estorff had close ties to one of Europe's wealthiest royal houses, Hesse-Hanau. Prince William the Liebend had built his fortune and elevated his house by offering his army as mercenaries to foreign countries in exchange for substantial sums of money, a practice that continues today in the form of peacekeeping missions. Meyer's shrewd mind concocted a plan. He reconnected with the general under the guise of selling valuable trinkets and coins at an irresistible discount. As he had hoped, this brought him into the prince's presence. The prince was pleased with their dealings and welcomed him into his inner circle. The initial investment bore fruit, as Meyer found himself not only doing business with the prince, but also with the members of the royal court. Meyer quickly grasped the advantages of engaging with governments rather than individuals, and soon he became a court Jew, a person providing loans to the nobility and members of the court. This marked the beginning of the Rothschild family's journey in the world of finance, which was far from straightforward. In the year 1812, Mayer Rothschild passed away, and the weight of his legacy fell upon his son, Nathan Mayer Rothschild. Nathan took on the task of managing Wilhelm's wealth and upholding the Rothschild name. He chose to stay in London, while his eldest brother assumed control of the original Frankfurt business. The other three brothers set out to establish branches in vital European capitals. Despite the geographical distances that separated them, the Rothschild brothers stuck to a unified strategy. They concentrated on extending loans to the aristocracy and local governments. For example, the brother in France became the trusted banker of Leopold I of Belgium, and the one in Vienna offered financial support to the last Holy Roman Emperor, Francis II. In the year 1815, all five of the Rothschild brothers came up with a cunning plan to make money during the ongoing war in Europe. They supplied gold to both of the main parties in the conflict, the Duke of Wellington and Napoleon. Nathan, who was working in England, financed Wellington's army, while James, who was in France, supported Napoleon's army. This is when they began their strategy of financing both sides in any war. Wars gave them a chance to make money without taking risks. The family used their powerful banking system that stretched across all of Europe and set up a secret postal service network of hidden routes. This helped them get important information before it became public, giving them an advantage in current events. Plus, because of their influence, their messengers were the only ones allowed to get through the English and French blockades easily. This allowed Nathan Mayer to know about the war's status before anyone else and use that information to make a ton of money on the stock exchange. One such instance was when Nathan had the Battle of Waterloo's outcome a full day before Wellington. Back then, British bonds were called consols and were traded on the stock exchange floor. Nathan, knowing the war's result, started selling the consols. The selling in the market made it look like the British were losing, causing a lot of panic and a big selling spree. However, what remained concealed from the public eye was that Nathan, after orchestrating the initial sell-off, quietly and shrewdly bought up the consols. As the news of the British victory finally surfaced, the market soared even higher than before, and Nathan's investment yielded a profit nearly 20 times its original value. After Napoleon's defeat, the Rothschild family gained even more control and influence in the core of British finance. They used their power to change how the Bank of England operated, bringing in a whole new way of banking. Instead of relying on moving actual gold around, they introduced a groundbreaking system centered on using paper for debits and credits. This transformation laid the groundwork for the modern banking system we know today. In the years that followed, the Rothschild family played a vital role in shaping the financial landscape of Europe. Whenever a government faced a crisis and needed financial help, the Rothschilds were often the first to offer substantial loans. This was evident after the turbulent events of the French Revolution in 1830 and the collapse of the Holy Roman Empire. Their lending business thrived and showed remarkable growth. For instance, the Paris branch of the Rothschilds, which had started with a modest sum equivalent to $5 million in 1820, saw astonishing growth, reaching an impressive figure of over $500 million by 1850. In essence, during the 19th century, the five Rothschild families fulfilled a role very much like what the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, does in today's world. They acted as stabilizers for major currencies, offering crucial loans to governments while accumulating substantial profits. By the 19th century, the Rothschild banking family had indeed become one of the wealthiest and most influential families of their time, world's richest family. For centuries, the Rothschild family's name has been synonymous with immense wealth and global influence, yet surprisingly many Americans remain unaware of their existence. They've built a worldwide empire that spans numerous industries, but it's not about leadership, it's about control. Through their banking establishments like N.M. Rothschild and Sons in London and Rothschild and Company in Paris exert indirect influence over central banks and financial institutions worldwide, manipulating the global economy for their own benefit. But if you think that their influence stops at banking, you might be wrong. The Rothschild family diversifies their investments, acquiring substantial stakes in some of the world's largest corporations, giving them unprecedented power to influence and manipulate various sectors, further expanding their wealth and control. Take, for instance, their connection to Apple. You might not have heard rumors about their involvement with Apple, but that's actually true. That's because the Rothschild family empire does the same thing that a lot of other billionaire families do. They control everything but own nothing, so their names never show up on ownership of any entity that requires them to reveal who the actual stockholders are, or they own shell companies, who in turn buy up other companies' stock and control it in the shadows of company secrecy. The Rothschilds are the puppet masters masters of the corporate world with a significant stake in over 80% of the world's largest companies, including heavyweights like Facebook, Chevron, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and many more. So the next time you unlock your iPhone or scroll through your Facebook feed, remember that there could be more to these everyday actions than meets the eye. It's essential to be aware of the extensive influence they wield behind the scenes. Now back to the family's story. It's important to note that Meyer Amschel Rothschild also had 5 daughters. They helped expand the Rothschild legacy without using the family name. You see, to preserve their wealth within the family, the initial Rothschild patriarch implemented strict rules for his daughters and granddaughters, allowing them to marry only their cousins. Meyer devised a system where female family members received limited inheritances unless they followed these prescribed pairings. As a result, many of them ended up marrying their cousins, and in one case, even an uncle. This way, they could work without all the attention that comes with the Rothschild name.
In our family, we've always tried to keep love in the family. In this sense, it was more or less understood since childhood that children would never think of marrying outside the family, so that our fortune would never leave it.